still a lot to be decided, and the Boston Red Sox still mathematically alive, taking on the New York Yankees, who are starting to look ahead to postseason. Now, the Red Sox don't want to look upon themselves as spoilers, but they are just that as they knocked the Yankees out of first place in the division last night, trailed New York by 6.5 in the wild card with 8 games to play. And welcome, everyone, to the stadium. Dick Stockton along with Tim McCarver. Ken Rosenthal is with us as well. And I guess, Tim, you'd have to say in the last week things have gotten a bit apprehensive for the Pinstripes.
It's been a bit of a topsy-turvy week for the Yankees. It started last Sunday when Andy Pettitte started his first start in 2 months. He looked good. Then they won the first 2 games of a 4-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays. However, since that time, they've lost 3 at home, and now it's the Tampa Bay Rays who are in first place and the Yankees with the wild card lead.
So the adventure goes on, and today Ivan Nova will be on the mound for the Yankees, and John Lester, the ace left-hander for the Red Sox, pitching for Boston. The Yankees entered September leading their division for the 40th time in their illustrious history. The previous 39, they've gone on to win the division. If this streak is to end, it will be the arch-rival Red Sox who will be responsible as the teams meet 5 times in the final 8 games of the 2010 season. Will history repeat, or can the Red Sox keep the Yankees from another division title? We have a breeze blowing out to left in left center field. This game is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of the thirst inning. The beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. And today's Red Sox starting lineup is brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And for the Red Sox, Marco Scutaro is at second base. J.D. Drew is in right field. Victor Martinez behind the plate. David Ortiz batting cleanup is the DH. Adrian Beltre is at third base. Jed Lowry at shortstop. Ryan Kalish, the center fielder. Daniel Nava is in left field. And Lars Anderson is in first base. Facing Ivan Nova, the rookie 23-year-old right-hander. Yankees are 5-1 in his 6 starts this year.
Ivan Nova has been very impressive with his unusual poise, four-seam fastball. That's usually the harder fastball. A good changeup. However, with runners on base, and this happened twice against Tampa Bay as he started 2 games against the Rays, things have a tendency to speed up with men on base, and that's not a good thing for any major leaguer. If you're a pitcher or a hitter, you try to slow things down.
And right now, Tim, time for our Ford keys to the game.
Well, for the Yankees, it's very simple. Their magic number is 3. Clinch it as quickly as you can. And from a Red Sox viewpoint, make them squirm.
And that's what the Red Sox did, winning last night in a wild game, 10-8. After a 10-1 lead, the Yankees came back, actually hit 6 home runs in the losing cause. So we're set to go. Marco Scutaro leading off, batting .271 with 11 homers and 55 runs batted in. Scutaro and Beltre are the only right-handed hitters in the lineup against Nova as we get underway. First pitch of the game from Ivan Nova is outside, ball 1. Yankees coming in at 92-62, a half a game behind Tampa Bay, and the Red Sox are 85-68 on the year in 3rd place. There's a call, strike 1-1, and right now the Red Sox would be tied with Texas for the lead in the AL West. Shows you how tough that division is as J.D. Drew waits in the on-deck circle, and time is called. Chris Guccione, the home plate umpire. Bill Cuzzy is at first, Brian O'Nora, the umpire, at second, and the crew chief, Jerry Crawford, at third. 2-1, the count to Scutaro. Scutaro's had a good year for the Red Sox in a year in which there have been incredible rash of injuries. 19 players on the designated or disabled list for Boston. There's a strike, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Joe Girardi juggling the fact that he wants to end it and clinch a playoff spot and also plan ahead to postseason. Call, 3rd strike. Scutaro is down looking, 1 away.
After 4 straight fastballs, Nova locks Scutaro with a high curveball. It was not a good one, but it was good enough.
So 1 away, and the batter is J.D. Drew, the right fielder. Batting .258, 19 homers and 64 runs batted in. Infield playing around to the right. In fact, the shortstop Jeter is playing to the right of second base.
You know, there was a time, Dick, that Ted Williams was the only player in baseball against whom a shift was used. And now I would have to say it's 20-25 hitters where they put 3 defenders on the right side of the infield.
Sometimes the second baseman is playing about 20 feet in short right field. There's a bouncer to share at first base so they can play unassisted, and there are 2 gone.
Yeah, we brought this point up a couple of weeks ago. Almost all the shifts that are used against major league hitters are used against left-handed hitters. You rarely see 3 fielders on the left side of the infield against right-handed batters.
Here's Victor Martinez, who's had an outstanding year. Red Sox catcher and the former Cleveland Indian, hitting .298 with 18 homers. He's knocked in 73. Martinez, a switch hitter, after Nova quickly gets the first 2 Red Sox hitters. There's a strike. And here is the sprint player first for Victor Martinez. 70 RBIs as a catcher, first among receivers in the league. Off-speed curveball in for the strike, and Nova is ahead of Martinez, 0-2.
I thought you had a great question for Joe Girardi before the game, actually about 4 hours ago. You asked Joe if Nova had a chance of being in the bullpen in the postseason, and Joe said absolutely.
It's audition time for a lot of players, and there's a pitch in the dirt, 1-2.
When your roster shrinks back to 25 players.
You have a lot of decisions to make, and the Yankees certainly have a few of them in the pitching department. Last couple of days, their aces have faltered. CC Sabathia and Andy Pettitte last night. Fastball inside, and the count 2-2 to Martinez.
With Phil Hughes scheduled to start tomorrow night, he was moved to next Wednesday, and then may pitch an inning or two in the final game. And Dustin Mosley will be the starter tomorrow night. Yankees not wanting Hughes to pitch over 175 innings.
Martinez fouls off the off-speed pitch. Count remains 2-2, and the plan is for CC Sabathia to work Friday night at Fenway Park in the final series of the season. You mentioned Andy Pettitte coming back in impressive fashion, but last night going 3 1/3, giving up 7 runs. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs to Martinez. Slapped down the left field line and out of play. Red Sox are 6-7 against the Yankees, but they hold a 4-3 edge in games here at Yankee Stadium. And Terry Francona has had to weather the storm of all of the injuries. I think the Red Sox starting lineup out of spring training has been intact for only 9 games this season. Wow, amazing.
136 different lineups by the Red Sox this year in the 154 games that they've played. And there's Mike Lowell, who was hit on the right side of the face last night. Kevin Youkilis out for the season, of course. Darnell McDonald, their center fielder, has done a remarkable job for Boston. 19 different players have been on the disabled list. That ties the Red Sox with the Rangers and the Oakland Athletics for the most.
Here's the 2-2 pitch again, and Martinez lifts it in the air deep to left field. That's the wind sending that ball back, handled by Austin Kearns. A 1-2-3 inning for Ivan Nova. Red Sox nothing. The Yankees come to bat. Today's Yankee starting lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Derek Jeter leading off. Shortstop Nick Swisher. Mark Teixeira hitting third. And Alex Rodriguez is the designated hitter. Robinson Cano batting fifth. Marcus Thames is in the game. Rodriguez actually playing third. Thames is the DH. Austin Kearns in left. Curtis Granderson batting eighth. And Francisco Cervelli behind the plate facing John Lester, who has won his last 5 starts.
And because of that, about a month ago, he was not figuring in the Cy Young Award voting, but an outside chance one of the 5 we consider as a Cy Young candidate. He has been red hot, as Dick said, and that placid demeanor belies a tough, competitive desire from John Lester.
And he's been successful against the Yankees, 2-0 this year, 5-1 lifetime, and facing Derek Jeter. Jeter hitting .267. That's the lowest batting average of his brilliant career. 10 homers and 65 runs batted in. But he currently has a season's high 13-game hitting streak, and he takes a pitch for a strike. And here is the Sprint player first for Derek Jeter. Of course, the hitting streak, and he's got so many more going for him.
Look at that. 42 times he has hit in 10 straight or more. 42 times. That's remarkable.
And one of the greats who you could put with any era of the Yankees. You can go back to the 20s, 30s, the 50s. Derek Jeter would have fit in.
Yep.
Pitch is inside, and the count 2-1. On deck is Nick Swisher. Yankees have lost 3 in a row, and all 3 here at Yankee Stadium. And it ties their longest losing streak at home this year. Check swing. Pounding ball is Scudero, and Jeter is retired for the first out of the game. Yankees 1 out, and Nick Swisher coming to the plate. And we'll be doing a lot of scoreboard watching with a lot of races at stake. The Atlanta Braves defeated the Washington Nationals 5-0 today. They are trailing the Phillies. The magic number is 2 for their elimination. And for Bobby Cox, who is retiring after this year, the 2,500th victory as a manager.
Even in the wild card with the San Diego Padres, who play the Cincinnati Reds later on this evening.
Nick Swisher, the switch hitter, takes a down low, ball 1. Reds have the magic number 3 against the St. Louis Cardinals for St. Louis's elimination. And San Diego is a half a game behind the Giants in the West. There's a fastball and a strike, and it's 1-1. Cubs beat the Cardinals today, so the magic number for the Reds is 2 to eliminate the Cardinals. 1 ball and 1 strike to Swisher. 2-1.
I said San Diego and Cincinnati would play later on. They're actually playing right now. The San Francisco Giants play later on in Colorado. Cincinnati on top of the Padres 1-0.
Lester's 2-1 pitch hit in the air, center field. Kalish started in, going back, and Ryan Kalish makes the catch on the warning track. And the Sun Field out there for sure for the second out.
You know, Dick, you talked about how the wind was blowing out to left. The wind has shifted in the last 7 or 8 minutes. This ball actually, I think, held the ball in Yankee Stadium at center field. That wind is shifting, blowing out toward right center now.
2 out to Mark Teixeira, the switch hitter who hit 2 home runs last night. He has 32 home runs on the year, and that is 4th in the league. Has knocked in 103. Infield playing back and straight away, as is the outfield, and the first pitch on the outside corner for a strike.
Well, we were talking about in the top of the first inning about how they shift against left-handed hitters. Here's Mark Teixeira batting right-handed, and they're playing straight up. But talking about home runs against the Red Sox, that's all Teixeira does. Hit home runs against the Red Sox.
And of course, the Red Sox were after Mark Teixeira before he signed with the Yankees. Behind on that fastball, and the count is 1-2. Here are the home runs last night by Teixeira. He ended an 0-for-19 slump against the Tampa Bay Rays with a double on Thursday, and then got 2 hits, and they were both home runs last night. And the pitch breaks inside, and it's 2-2 to the Yankee first baseman.
Look at that. 13 hits against the Red Sox this year, and 8 of the 13 have been home runs.
fastball, strike 3. As Teixeira goes down looking. 1-2-3 inning for Lester. And after 1 here in New York, there's no score. By Gillette is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. By Sprint, the Now Network. And by Ford Drive 1. View of Central Park and the Texas Rangers scouts are here. Scott Littlefield right there. And there are scouts all over the big leagues looking at the possible opponents in the division series and perhaps beyond. Big Papi David Ortiz tied for 5th with 31 home runs. Ortiz, who hit only 1 home run in the month of April, responded with 10 in May and has gone on from there.
Looking for his 6th 100 RBI season. Ted Williams of the Red Sox had the most. He had 8. Manny Ramirez and Ortiz with 6.
And there's that shift for Ortiz, who takes a breaking ball for a strike. Red Sox designated hitter. He's driven in 96 runs on the season. One and one to Big Papi.
.30 home run seasons. Ted Williams with 8. Ortiz and Ramirez with 6 apiece. That was a cut fastball in under the hands of David Ortiz. That ball inside, David couldn't hold up. That's a problem when you pick up that front foot, put it back down, and you've already committed your swing.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Ortiz. Will be followed by Adrian Beltre and Jed Lowry. There's Beltre, who's had a tremendous year for the Red Sox.
I'll say.
Wouldn't be even still alive in the playoffs if it weren't for him. Fly ball to left field. Kearns has to shade his eyes and makes the catch. Didn't have to move much, but he made the play. Ortiz is retired for the first out. Visit your local Lowe's for details on how to enter to win a Scott's VIP World Series experience. 1 out to Adrian Beltre, who is 5th in the league in hitting, batting .322, 28 homers and 99 runs batted in to lead Boston. .1-0 to Beltre, who played in only 111 games last year for Seattle. He's 31 years old and facing the 23-year-old Ivan Nova. Out of play into the upper deck.
Dick, it was a sage move by Beltre to sign a one-year contract with the Boston Red Sox, because he will be in a very, very good position as a free agent come this postseason.
Here's the pitch, and it's up high. 1 ball and 2 strikes. So what about Adrian Beltre's future, Ken?
Well, Dick, the Red Sox want to re-sign Beltre, but only at the right price. And if they don't, they have options. They can move Kevin Youkilis to third, sign a 1-year stopgap at first, and then, after next season, go get one of the big free agents, Pujols, Adrian Gonzalez, or Prince Fielder.
All right, Ken, Beltre gets jammed by Nova and grounds out to Derek Jeter for out number 2. I think the Red Sox have a lot of decisions to make during the offseason.
Victor Martinez, do you sign him? He's eligible for free agency. Do you sign David Ortiz and exercise the 1-year option that the Red Sox have for $12.5 million? Ortiz looking for a multi-year contract.
2 down to Jed Lowry, and he takes a strike. Last night, a banner night for Lowry, who had 4 hits, a career high for him, including a 3-run homer in the second inning, and that set the pace for the Red Sox en route to their 10-1 lead. That got close at the end. A slow grounder, and Teixeira makes the play unassisted. So Ivan Nova, looking good, has retired the first 6 Red Sox he's faced. Yankees batting in the second, no score. Grab some buds and be a part of the Budweiser National Happy Hour on September 29th. Nothing but blue skies here in the Bronx, New York, as Alex Rodriguez leads off for the Yankees in the bottom of the second inning against John Lester. Rodriguez with 2 home runs last night, and now with 27 on the year, and the first pitch hit out of the air to left center field, coming over, and nearly confusion out there as Ryan Kalish, the center fielder, makes the catch, and that very nearly dropped between the 2 outfielders.
That was a near collision from 2 young outfielders. You see that often. You can see Kalish calling Nova off. Evidently, Dave did not hear Ryan. But anytime you're in a situation like that, normally the center fielder is the guy who rules the roost in that area.
Here's Robinson Cano having an MVP kind of year, batting .319 and 28 homers, 104 runs batted in, and 6 in the league in hitting. Looks at a pitch outside for ball 1. And Cano has been outstanding from the start all season for the Yankees.
Certainly an MVP candidate is Robinson Cano.
And he bluffs the bunt and takes the call strike, and it's 1-1. On deck is Marcus Thames, the former Tiger, who's the designated hitter for the Yankees today. Slap to the right side, and Scudero is there. Makes the play, and there's 2 out. Well, time for a DirecTV game break. DirecTV, the only way to watch every MLB game in HD. In top of the first, 1 on, 1 out. Joey Votto singles to right field off of John Garland. Drew Stubbs scores, and the Reds take a 1-0 lead. And the Reds looking to eliminate the Cardinals and move along into the National League postseason. 2 down to Marcus Thames, who has been outstanding against left-handed pitching this year. Chases a fastball away for a strike, has a home run against John Lester.
He's had a wonderful year for the Yankees. Only 195 at-bats with 12 home runs and 33 RBIs.
Right now, the Yankees with Thames against left-handers and Lance Berkman against righties are well situated in the designated hitter department for postseason.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time for Berkman to get hot.
Last week hit his first home run for the Yankees.
After 93 at-bats without one.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. And swings and misses in the count now 1-2 to Thames. Austin Kearns would be next for New York. That's in the dirt. The Yankees have the tougher schedule to finish with, trailing right now the Rays by half a game. After tomorrow's series finale, they'll have 3 games at Toronto and then 3 at Fenway Park to wrap up the regular season, while the Rays will host the Orioles for 3 and then travel to Kansas City for 4 games to end the regular season. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Thames with 2 out, nobody on base.
John Lester taking that step and a half toward the third baseline. He thought that pitch was a strike. Watch. Whoop. Umpire Chris Guccione bringing John back with the ball call. It's got to be tough to see up there. We've seen some iffy swings here in the gloaming of late September.
And strike 3. So on the previous pitch, Lester thought he had strike 3. Thames thought he had ball 4. And it's a strikeout, the second of the game for Lester. And we'll return to New York after a word from your local Fox station. Red Sox batting in the top of the third inning against Ivan Nova. Bottom third of their order, Ryan Kalish, the center fielder, takes a called strike. Kalish was called up at the end of July from AAA and has already hit 2 grand slam homers in his brief career. This is his 46th game in a Red Sox uniform. And it did hit him, as a matter of fact, as it brushed his uniform, and he becomes the game's first base runner.
Looked like it hit the uniform right above the belt. May have made contact with the body, but first base runner of the game here in the third inning.
And that's the first batter that Ivan Nova has hit in his very brief career of 37 innings. And here's Daniel Nava, who broke in with a splash. That's been the only home run he has hit in his first pitch against the Phillies at Fenway Park.
A novel confrontation, Nova versus Nava.
And one of these guys may come up with nada, and the question is which one.
That's right.
Nava hitting .248. First 10 games, very impressive, and he has quieted down in the last 43 as Kalish, who has 6 stolen bases in 7 tries, has the lead at first. Want to know the count to Nava.
Dick, you and I did that game on June 12th, where in his first pitch that he saw, first major league pitch, grand slam home run by Dan Nova.
And his parents had come from Northern California, across the country. I think they lost their luggage, but they didn't care. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and again it's outside and low. Base is loaded, nobody out. And here's a drive, hit deep to right field, and it is gone. How about that? A grand slam homer for Daniel Nava, his first major league at-bat. Well, it was a good acquisition. His contract was brought from the Chico Outlaws for $1. So Nava, one of the youngsters, forced into action this year with all the injuries, swings and misses, and it's 2-1 now to the Red Sox left field.
That's a good cut fastball from Nova. Yeah, that's the one thing I guess you can look from an optimistic standpoint. For the Red Sox, it did accelerate the major league experience that some of their young, particularly outfielders, got.
Kalish, who's on at first base, and now Nava in particular. And leaning the wrong way and having to dive back is Kalish to first.
He took a half a step, then diving back.
Terry Francona doesn't like to use the word undermanned, and that's been the Red Sox situation all year. He just feels like their margin for error has been a lot less when some of their key people have gone down. Here's the 2-1 pitch, and misses outside, and Nova falls behind. Daniel Nava, 3 balls and a strike with Lars Anderson, the young first baseman, on deck.
Terry Francona has 2 world championships under his belt and no manager of the year honors, and this year could be one.
He's never gotten the first place vote.
That's right. That's right. That could change after this year.
And Kalish bluffs, doesn't go, and the pitch is up and away, ball 4, and the Red Sox have runners at first and second with nobody out. And that'll bring up the number 9 hitter, first baseman Lars Anderson, to the plate as Cervelli goes to the mound to talk to Nova.
We had a chat with Dave Island this morning, and I asked him about Nova, and check that third point of the scouting report, that things speed up for Ivan with men on base, and that perhaps was the problem with Kalish on at first base. He ends up walking Nova, and now his first trouble.
And here's Lars Anderson, who today is celebrating his 23rd birthday. Native of Oakland, called up on September the 6th. 5 for 19 at the plate hitting .263, and he takes a strike. 0-1. There at second is Ryan Kalish. Nava on at first base. See if Anderson is looking to sacrifice with the top of the order, Marco Scutaro on deck.
I don't think so.
1-1.
And you've got a right-hander in Scutaro. You've got a young hitter like Anderson. And keep in mind that a lot of young players who are prospects really don't bunt that much in the minor leagues. So you can't ask him to do something that he's not asked to do coming up.
And in reality, Terry Francona rarely sacrifices.
That's right. Don't need to do that at Fenway Park.
That's in the dirt. Good stop by Cervelli, and it's 2-1.
Ball in the dirt, a changeup, and a good play by Cervelli.
2 balls and a strike to Lars Anderson. The Red Sox trying to mount a threat here in the 3rd inning. They won last night to knock the Yankees out of first place, looking to do more damage. 2 balls and a strike to Lars Anderson. And he lines it over Jeter into left field. And after a delay, Kalish will stop at third, and the bases are loaded. So Lars Anderson gets a base hit on his birthday. And the Red Sox have the bases loaded, nobody out, and Scutaro coming up.
Well, Kalish had to hold up at second base. He has no idea about the height of the ball. Jeter jumping for it. Now, if you're at second base, you certainly understand that. Have to retreat in case Jeter comes up with it. And because of that, he stops at third with nobody out. The Red Sox with a great opportunity here for a big inning.
And Ivan Nova has done very well until the middle innings. And the second time through an order, he's had his problems. But he's having difficulty here with the bottom third of the Red Sox order here in the 3rd. Scutaro took a called third strike his first time up, and that very nearly was thrown all the way to the backstop. Red Sox have hit 7 Grand Slam homers this year, and Scutaro 3 in his career. Infield is shortened up. Here's the 1-0 pitch. 2-0, and Nova having problems with his control. Ryan Kalish at third. Daniel Nava at second. Lars Anderson. None of these 3 were with the Red Sox when the season started. Dave Island, the pitching coach, rushes to the mound.
I anticipated this a little earlier. Remember what Dave said once again. That things speed up for Nova with runners on base, and certainly that has been the case in this inning.
Joe Girardi with Tony Pena in the dugout. We said at the outset the Red Sox don't like to be called possible spoilers here. That hasn't been their role in recent years. They just feel that if they go about their business and play the game the way it is today, that's what they're doing. So Cano backs up a bit, as does Jeter. The count 2-0 to Scutaro. Does he take here?
No.
He doesn't, and he lines a base hit to center field. Just took one word. Kalish will score. Nava will stop at third. Anderson goes to second, and Marco Scutaro with an RBI single has given the Red Sox a 1-0 lead. So Scutaro hitting .500 with the bases loaded with 17 RBI.
Terry Francona telling us before the game that every time I think about taking Scutaro out of the game to give him a rest, he ends up getting a hit. Well, here we go again. Scutaro putting the Red Sox on the board. Third base coach Tim Bogar obviously holding Nava at third base with nobody out.
J.D. Drew, the batter, looks at a breaking ball inside. A very concise one-word answer when I proposed the possible take on 2-0.
I mean, those are the situations you love to be in. You know it's going to be a fastball. Gene Mock used to call them cookies, those 2-0 fastballs right down the pipe. Same here with J.D. Drew.
Pitches down low. Drew, who bounced at first his first time up. So Ivan Nova struggling here in the third inning, as Nava, Anderson, and Scudero are the base runners, and still nobody out. And the ground ball backhanded by Cano over to Jeter. The throw to first with another play, and run will score. As Nava comes around with the second Red Sox run. No RBI for J.D. Drew. And going to third is Lars Anderson.
I think that's not a tough play made by Cano. Drew getting down the line quickly, but Cano all in one motion. Perfectly to Jeter for the feed, and they get Drew by a half a step.
So Cano starts the 4-6-3 double play, and with two out, Victor Martinez with Lars Anderson at third base. Red Sox leading 2-0 here in the third. One 1-0 to Martinez, who flied to Kearns in left field in the first inning. And David Robertson is starting to throw in the Yankees bullpen. Two balls and no strikes now to Victor Martinez. David Robertson is available today, and a good thing for Joe Girardi. His back locked up. He had 3 days off and threw lightly yesterday. So the last thing, of course, that Girardi wanted was to get Robertson up this early in the game. Runner at third is Lars Anderson. 2 down, 2 runs in. And it's 3-0 to Martinez with David Ortiz on deck. Dave Island looking on, and Ivan Nova making his 7th start. Struggling here in the third inning.
I think if Martinez gets a good one, he'll swing at it.
High and away, ball 4. And that is the second walk this inning. And runners now at first and third, and Big Papi coming up for Boston.
You can almost feel the apprehension in the crowd, can't you? Now, what if the Red Sox win behind Leicester this afternoon, and then they've got Buchholz going tomorrow, and they win that game? The magic number's still 3.
And remember, there are 3 games next weekend.
That's right.
The big question is, can the Red Sox hang in there in this playoff battle till next weekend? First pitch, a fastball and a strike to Ortiz, who fly to left last inning.
And once again, the Red Sox go back to Fenway Park to play 7 games, and the Yankees, as Dick said last inning, go on the road. 3 at Toronto, off day on Thursday, 3 at Fenway next weekend.
2 down, runners at first and third. And the pitch is outside. And of course, you were part of one of the great collapses in baseball history.
I'm glad to say I was on the right end of it from my standpoint. As Gene Mock said about the Philadelphia Phillies that year in 1964, the Phillies were the best team in baseball for 150 games.
Right.
And they lost 10 in a row.
There you saw the schedule, and way out in front of that is Ortiz. He gets fooled, and it's 1-2. Again, here's the pitch to Ortiz.
That's normally where Big Papi likes the pitch. The ball down and in. A lethal swing of his.
Crowd cheering on Nova to get out of this inning. 1-2 to Ortiz. Just got a piece of it and fouls it off in front of the Yankee dugout. On deck, if Ortiz can keep this third inning threat going, is Adrian Beltre. This is Nova's first appearance in his career against Boston. The 1-2 pitch. And a fair ball down the right field line. Anderson will score. And Martinez goes to third, and it's 3-0 now as David Ortiz, after getting fooled on a couple of pitches, drives in his 97th run of the year.
So 3 away from 100. On the 1-1 pitch, that was the pitch that he had a good cut on. And that one with his rear end out, he one-hands it down the right field line. It just stayed fair. I believe it hit the inside of the line. Anderson scoring easily. And Martinez to third, and the Red Sox extend their lead to 3-0. Good hitting by Ortiz.
And he's on at first with the base hit. And here's Adrian Beltre, who is the Red Sox leader with 99 runs batted in. First and third, still 2 out. The 8th man to come up against Ivan Nova fouls it off to the opposite field, strike 1. So Martinez on at third, Ortiz at first. Red Sox have had base runners throughout this third inning. All started with Ryan Kalish getting hit on his uniform shirt. Going down to first, then Daniel Nava walked and Lars Anderson singled to load the bases. Beltre gets jammed, and A-Rod goes to second for the force, but 8 come to the plate, and 3 score for the Red Sox. And they have a 3-0 lead as the Yankees come up in the bottom of the third. The bottom third of the Yankee order, Austin Kearns, the left fielder, who started the season with the Indians, and he takes a strike, hitting .265 on the year, but .242 since he's joined the Yankees. Good fastball, and it's 0-2. John Lester is ahead of Kearns.
That's that cut fastball that Terry Francona was telling us about. That Lester has developed that pitch into a lethal weapon this year.
Curtis Granderson on deck for the Yankees. The breaking ball missing, and it's 1-2.
What the cut fastball does for a left-handed pitcher, it keeps a right-handed batter back and away from the outside corner. If you're throwing that cutter inside effectively, it makes the changeup better. It makes the two-seam fastball better. It opens up the outside part of the plate.
Two balls and two strikes to Austin Kearns. He's been bothered by a sore left elbow and an index finger, and knows that he needs a strong finish to warrant consideration for a possible spot on the postseason roster. But a foul tip into the glove of Martinez, and Kearns goes down for the first out in the third inning. Talked to Terry Francona, the Red Sox manager, and talked about admiring the fact that his team keeps battling.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of challenges, but our guys are trying. And, you know, again, we're not real happy with where we are in the standings, but we'll keep playing until they send us home.
Dick and I were talking about it, Terry, saying that one of the advantages this year with all the injuries is you do have a chance to see a lot of your great young outfielders.
Yeah, you know, Kalish and Nava, and, you know, we've got a lot of guys come through our player development system. It's actually pretty exciting. Again, you know, some of our veterans are pretty good that we're missing, but some of these young guys, their future's pretty bright.
Terry, you're not going to want to hear this, but you're just going to have to take it. You did a wonderful job as managing this team this year, keeping this team excited, keeping this team competitive, and you deserve a lot of credit for it.
No, keep going. I'm okay with that. Thanks, guys.
That's what makes him special.
Oh, classic. Just classic. That's one of the things that makes him special. Great sense of humor.
And not every manager would have handled this kind of season.
No.
And not every clubhouse would have been as steady as it has been, losing the likes of Dustin Pedroia, Jacoby Ellsbury, Kevin Youkilis, Mike Cameron, Jason Varitek.
Victor Martinez for a month and a half with a broken wrist.
3-1 pitch, and Kenny, the injuries kept going on, and there we see Pedroia.
They did, Dick. And if you remember, even early in the season, before the injuries hit, they had the questions about playing time with Ortiz and Lowell. There was some discontent in that clubhouse, and Francona, as he always does, just kept them going.
Granderson goes down. Third straight strikeout for Lester. He has 4 in the game.
John falling behind Granderson. That's 8 in a row and 4 strikeouts for Lester here in the third inning.
And the number 9 hitter, Francisco Cervelli, the Yankee catcher today, batting .258. No home runs, has driven in 35 runs. Lester came into the game third in the American League in strikeouts with 212, and as Tim pointed out, has struck out 4 of the first 8 he's faced. And a very tough pitcher on the road. His 2.49 earned run average is the best ERA in the American League away from home. 2 down, nobody on. Check swing, and it's a ball, 1-1.
I'll tell you why that's unusual is because every time you're pitching on the road, the mound is different. The slope is different. Some are flatter than others. They're all 10 inches high. But it would make sense for a pitcher to have a much better earned run average at home because it's the same mound off of which he pitches. But they change when he gets on the road.
And a fly ball, late start by J.D. Drew, but he catches up with it, makes the catch. So Lester has retired the first 9 Yankees he's faced. We go to the 4th, 3-0 Red Sox. Gillette is sponsored by DirecTV. Get the best quality picture and sound for your flat screen with DirecTV. By Progressive, making insurance better. And by Lowe's. Lowe's, let's build something together. Ivan Nova, who faced 8 batters and gave up 3 runs on 2 hits and walked a pair, will be facing Jed Lowry, who bounced out to Teixeira unassisted his first time up and takes a full strike. Great story for Jed Lowry, who came back from out with mononucleosis. He also had a torn ligament in his left wrist. And Lowry now playing shortstop for the Red Sox, and Marco Scutaro, who had been the regular shortstop practically all season, now at second base. 2 balls and a strike to Lowry. Ryan Kalish is on deck. Of course, Lowry, a strong candidate to be a top utility player for the Red Sox. Off the fist and a ground ball to Rodriguez. And Lowry's retired for out number 1. Well, tomorrow, week 3 of the NFL on Fox, headlined by the Battle of Texas. In Dallas, a season filled with Super Bowl dreams has begun with an 0-2 nightmare. While down in Houston, Matt Schaub and the Texans are flying high at 2-0. Cowboys, Texans, or other regional action tomorrow on Fox. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. Well, anytime Dallas has a problem, the whole world somehow feels it, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I should say. You know, with the Yankees, there's been a lot of criticism, or at least some criticism of the Yankees wanting to be healthy for the playoffs as opposed to trying to win the division. While I understand that, I don't totally agree with that. I think you've got to use common sense.
Kalish swings and misses, and the ball gets away, and Cervelli makes the throw to Teixeira. So there are 2 down.
But with that football promo, the Yankees, I think a lot of people are saying, well, we saw it happen last year during the NFL season when the Indianapolis Colts in Week 16, after the 15th game of the season, they tried that. Of course, they had home field advantage during the playoffs, but not during the Super Bowl. Nobody does. Unless Dallas gets in it this year.
Right. That would be a.
But I thought it was a pretty good comparison. I don't know whether it's fair, but at least it's interesting.
Nava with a hard hit ball, and Rodriguez makes the play, and it is interesting because can you turn it on again in postseason? That's really the question you're asking. Hot streak. Correctly pick 10 straight and win a Fox Sports baseball cap. You could join hundreds of others who are already wearing theirs. Get your streak started today and win yourself a hat or some cash at foxsports.com/fantasy. Derek Jeter bounced to Scudero first time up at second base. Takes a call strike as John Lester has retired the first 9, and Jeter does not agree with that call by Chris Guccione.
You could see Martinez setting up inside. I think Derek thought it was low. Could have been borderline.
And a comebacker. Lester makes the play, and there's one gone here in the 4th inning. Even when he complains about a call, there's a kind of a smile on Derek Jeter's face. Here's Nick Swisher. Swisher fly to Ryan Kalish out on the warning track his first time up.
Of the 10 batters that Lester has faced, only Swisher has hit the ball hard.
Lester looking for his 6th straight victory as won 7 of his last 8 decisions. So he's on a huge roll. And the off-speed breaking ball is in for a strike. John Lester will get one more start after this. If he's successful today and wins his next start, he will be the first Red Sox left-hander since Mel Parnell to win 20 games.
Mel won 21 games back in 1953 for the Sox.
1-0 the count to Nick Swisher with one down here in the 4th inning. And Ken Rosenthal, what about John Lester's possibilities for a Cy Young?
Well, he's on the periphery of this right now, Dick. And the favorite might be a guy who is 12-12. And I want to hear Tim's thoughts on this. Felix Hernandez leads the league in innings, strikeouts, and ERA. And the only reason his record isn't better is because the Mariners are an awful offensive team. They are on pace to score the fewest runs of any American League team in the DH era, which began in 1973.
I agree with that, Kenny, by the way. I mean, 12-12, and that's something over which a pitcher has no control. He certainly has control of the earned run average, the strikeouts, the innings pitched. John Lester is a machine today, I'll tell you. And that's what Felix Hernandez has been all season.
Strike 3, and Nick Swisher started to make a move to first. And he has a few words for Guccione. And Swisher goes down for the 5th strikeout by Lester, 2 down.
Sometimes you make your move too quickly, and when you make your move quickly, you can't pick the ball up properly. That pitch was a strike, certainly high enough. Nick thought it was a ball, and 11 in a row now retired by Lester.
And he has struck out 5 of those 11 hitters. So Swisher's upset, and here's Mark Teixeira, who swings and misses for strike 1. He took a called 3rd strike in the 1st inning. So John Lester sailing along and helped with a 3-run cushion that the Red Sox gave him in the 3rd inning. 2 out, nobody on base, and an off-speed pitch swung on again and missed. 0-2.
All of his pitches are working for him now. Lester with the curveball, the cutter, the fastball outside, and the changeup.
And the fastball following up on that 78-mile-per-hour changeup, and strikes out Teixeira. 6 strikeouts of the 12 batters he's faced. We've completed 4, 3-0 Boston. Ivan Nova facing Lars Anderson of the Red Sox, starting the 5th inning, and the first pitch is a strike. Anderson, celebrating his 23rd birthday, got a base hit and scored a run when the Red Sox tallied 3 back in the 3rd. Up high, 1-1. Anderson went into play first base last night after Mike Lowell took a shot at first base off of his temple. But apparently nothing serious, and he's all right, according to Terry Francona. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Anderson. On deck, the top of the order, Marco Scutaro for Boston. 2-2 now to Anderson. Nova with a 1-0 record. This is his 7th start and 9th appearance. Ground ball to Cano, and Anderson's retired, 1 out. Joe Girardi, the Yankee manager, we asked him about juggling, the goal to wrap up this race and planning for the future, for postseason.
Well, you can't look too far ahead, and that's what we've talked about. I mean, we still want to win our division, and we still want to try to get home field advantage, and we're not looking too far ahead. And we haven't done much against Leicester today, but Nova seemed to settle down after a little rocky 3rd.
Yeah, with the magic number at 3, Joe, the first thing is to get in the postseason, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing that you want to do, and then you go from there. And obviously, I mean, playing the Red Sox, I mean, we can pick up 2 games whenever we play them, but we need to score some runs off of Leicester.
And it was interesting. Nova, of course, seems to have problems when there are men on base with the pace.
Well, it was, he's going to hold runners, and he does a good job of holding the ball, and he's not going to let guys just steal bases. And, he hit Kalish with an inside fastball, and then he seemed to lose the strike zone a little bit, and now he's bounced back again.
Joe, thanks very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Good luck. The Yankees were the first team to reach 90 wins this year, but right now the Phillies, the Twins, and the Rays all have a better record than the Yankees. J.D. Drew, who bounced to first and then grounded into a double play, 0 for 2, looks at a strike. 2 down, nobody on in the 5th inning, and Nova has indeed settled down since that rocky 3rd inning.
Philadelphia Phillies winners of 11 in a row. The team record is 13 wins in a row. But the 11 in a row, the longest winning streak for the Phillies since 1993. That was their National League championship year, and they lost in Game 6 to the Toronto Blue Jays in the World Series.
1-1 pitch, and Drew fouls it out of play. But under no circumstances has this been smooth sailing for the Phillies this year.
No, but it's smooth sailing with these 3 guys. Cole Hamels, Roy Oswalt, and Roy Halladay, 12-0 in September. A 2.07 combined earned run average.
1-2 pitch missing outside. 2-2. The Phillies will host the Mets tonight. The Braves beat the Washington Nationals, giving Bobby Cox his 2,500th managerial win, and the magic number is still 2 for the Phillies to clinch the National League East. Drew stays alive. San Diego is leading Cincinnati 3-1. And coming into today's action, the Padres trail the Giants by half a game. The Giants play later at Colorado. Of course, Cincinnati trying to knock out the Cardinals in the National League Central. Fly ball down the left field line. Could be trouble coming on over. It's a fair ball as Kearns sees it bounce off the top of the wall and into second with a 2-out double is J.D. Drew.
That ball tailing away from the left fielder, Austin Kearns. Really no chance. A very interesting swing by J.D. Drew. It actually hit the foul pole, and once it hits the foul pole on 1 bounce, it's a ground rule double. But look at that swing. Almost a little top hand spinner down the left field line, hitting the foul pole, ground rule double.
That's the 4th hit for the Red Sox and their first extra base hit, and it brings up Victor Martinez. who was 0 for 1, flied out and walked his last time. Red Sox leading 3-0. 3 runs on 4 hits. The Yankees no runs on no hits. Foul tipped into Cervelli's glove. 0-1 to the Red Sox catcher.
Guessing fastball and got it. Comes up empty. By the way, the San Diego Padres and the Giants finish the season at AT&T Park in San Francisco next weekend. So interest in the Bay Area huge right now.
So that race may not be completed till the end of the year or beyond, because we have seen ties before, and that includes the wild card as well, as left-hander Royce Ring throwing in the Yankee bullpen. 2 down. J.D. Drew is at second with a 2-out double to the opposite field. Count is 1-1 to Victor Martinez. Two and one. Big Poppy, if Martinez can keep it going for the Red Sox. '80th pitch of the game for Ivan Nova upcoming. That's down low, and it's 3-1.
An interesting point, I think, is that if you're thinking about Ivan Nova in the bullpen in the postseason, there may be a time where Joe Girardi and Dave Allen would want to bring him in with runners on base, and with his tendency to not, Dave Allen's words was, he speeds up a little bit with runners on base. Do you have him only start an inning from the bullpen, or do you shuck it all aside and say, well, he's in the bullpen and he's got to pitch under any circumstances? But it's clear, as you brought up to Girardi, it's clear that he's a different pitcher from the stretch. And that's the first thing that Dave brought up to us when we visited with him this morning.
And ball 4 down low, and Martinez walks for the second time. And that is the third walk issued by Nova. Runners now at first and second with 2 down, and here is David Ortiz.
Another thing to consider, in Nova's 5 years for the Yankees in the minor leagues, he had almost 100 starts, and he had 1 appearance in the bullpen. 1 in 5 years. Now, he did have 2 for the Yankees earlier this year in May, but it's something certainly to consider when you are considering whether to bring Nova and put him on the roster for the postseason.
He was signed in 2004 by the Yankees, then taken by San Diego in the Rule 5 draft, and then returned to the Yankees in March of '09. And the move has been made. And the pitching change as coming to the mound, Joe Girardi. Royce Ring will be coming in to face the left-handed hitting David Ortiz when we return in just a moment. responsible for the runners at first and second. J.D. Drew at second and Martinez at first, and the left-hander Royce Ring facing David Ortiz. 1 for 2 with an RBI single. First pitch misses. 1-0. Ring is making his second appearance with the Yankees. Made his debut on Wednesday against Tampa Bay, as you see Drew, who doubled with 2 out, and then Martinez, who drew the walk, sending Nova to the showers. And a ground ball up the middle and a base hit by David Ortiz. J.D. Drew coming around to score, and the Red Sox lead it 4-0. Victor Martinez advances to second, and so Big Papi with 2 RBIs now with 98 on the year.
Royce Ring dropped down and threw a breaking ball for the first pitch. And on the second pitch, after missing with the breaking ball, he dropped down, threw a fastball, and Ortiz gives the Red Sox their 4th run. Drew scoring without a play.
And that'll be all for Royce Ring. Chad Godin has been warming up. There is the swing by David Ortiz. Shady where he is, but still wearing the shades. And Ring leaves and Godin comes in. We'll return in a moment. And Major League Baseball is challenging viewers to step up to the plate for your health. Go to AskMLBTrainer.com to get health tips from a Major League Baseball athletic trainer. So Royce Ring faces David Ortiz, gives up an RBI single. The run is charged to Nova. And here is Chad Godin. And the first pitch is outside, making his 29th appearance with the Yankees. Last appearance Wednesday against Tampa Bay, gave up home runs to Evan Longoria and Carl Crawford. So there's Ortiz on first, Martinez at second. Run in for the Red Sox. They lead 4-0, and Adrian Beltre lifts it out to Granderson in center, and that'll do it. But the Red Sox get another run, and Ortiz drives in another run. It's 4-0. The Red Sox lead as we move to the bottom of the 5th. help eliminate odor. Don't just cover it up. Red Sox lead the Yankees 4-0, and John Lester has retired the first 12 batters he's faced. Here's Alex Rodriguez, who last night hit homers number 609 and 610 of his career to pass Sammy Sosa into 6th in the all-time home run derby. 0-1 the count to A-Rod, who flied to center his first time up. And it's 0-2, and Lester has been ahead of almost every hitter he's faced.
Well, Terry Francona talking about his cut fastball before the game, and he has used that cutter to his benefit today. You also talked about Ortiz looking through dark glasses. A-Rod, there must be a glare from the batter's box looking up into center field. You see the sunlight up there. There's got to be a glare of some kind. Otherwise, Ortiz and A-Rod would not be wearing darker glasses.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Alex Rodriguez. Be followed by Robinson Cano and Marcus Thames here in the Yankee 5th. That's down low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cano next to hit. And time is called. A-Rod has had some injury problems this year, missing 14 games with a calf strain. We know about the hip surgery that he had last year, and now a full count. One of the rare 3-2 counts that Lester has had today. Gets a piece of it. So A-Rod with 100 RBIs for the 13th straight year. And an all-star for that many seasons.
Cutter inside again.
And it's ball 4. Several times today the Yankees have started down to first base, and they've been called out on strikes. Not this time, and A-Rod becomes the first base runner of the game for the Yankees. And here is today's Verizon game summary. 4 hitless innings, 6 strikeouts for John Lester, and the 3-run third, helping the Red Sox to their 4-0 lead. The Yankees have not lost 4 in a row at home this year. They'd be in danger of doing so if they do not come back in this one. That'll bring up Robinson Cano, who grounded to Scudero at second his first time. So let's see what the Yankees do when they finally get a base runner, Tim. 1-0, low and away.
Good at bat by A-Rod, and you have to have good at bats against a guy like Lester on a day like today. I mean, he has thrown any one of 4 pitches over for strikes at any time, but his key pitch has been his cutter. In fact, all 6 strikeouts have been on the cutter.
And a comebacker. And a low throw, but Lowry handles it. And a 1-6-3 double play. And there are 2 out on his 57th pitch of the game.
How good is the cutter? Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. The 5th strikeout, the 6th strikeout of Teixeira's. 6 strikeouts on 6 cutters. And that was a cutter, by the way, that Cano hit back to Lester.
And each team now has executed a double play, so the bases are empty with 2 out. Marcus Thames, he took a called 3rd strike back in the 2nd inning. Rips this foul past the third base coach, Rob Thompson.
By the way, for you folks who may not know what a cutter is, it's a pitch held with the index finger and the middle finger, and the pressure is put on by the pitcher of the middle finger, and it actually cuts from a left-hander in on the hands to a right-handed batter. That was a breaking ball, of course.
No balls and 2 strikes. Ken Rosenthal, we just saw a shot past Rob Thompson, and of course a lot of people talking of possible managerial opportunities for some people.
That's right, Dick. And Rob Thompson is a guy who is a native of Ontario and could get an interview with the Blue Jays, but they have not contacted him yet. We'll just have to wait and see.
All right, hopeful is Rob Thompson, and strikeout number 7 for John Lester. We've completed 5. Still no hits for the Yankees, and the Red Sox up by 4. Start gaining by State Farm. With 118,000 agents, we've got the best lineup in the game. And by Chevrolet, every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty. Jed Lowry leading off in the 6th inning. And he takes ball 1 from Chad Gaudin. Lowry has grounded out twice. Red Sox leading 4-0. A shot that Teixeira handles, and will make the play unassisted for out number 1, bringing up Ryan Kalish. Kalish started the Red Sox 3-run third by getting hit by a pitch. It just kind of brushed his uniform, but that started the inning. Nava then walked, and Lars Anderson singled to load the bases. Scudero knocked in a run with a base hit. A double play had the second run in, and then David Ortiz drove in the first of 2 runs for him today with a single to right field. 0-1 the count to Kalish. And Daniel Nava on deck in a very quiet Yankee Stadium.
And a very atypical Yankee Red Sox game. Normally, the Red Sox and the Yankees spin up those long 4-hour games, but not today.
And a low-scoring affair, relatively speaking, especially when you look at last night's 10-8 score. 1 ball, 1 strike to Kalish.
Yeah, the Yankees trailed 10-1 in that game at one time.
And off the glove of Gaudin and through into center field for a base hit. And Kalish has the 6th hit of the game for the Red Sox. Saturday baseball on Fox, presented by Gillette, returns next week. The Phillies and the Braves. And of course, other games with playoff implications. Right now, the magic number is 2, but the Braves, if they are eliminated by then, fighting for a wild card berth. Coverage begins at 4 p.m. Eastern, so check your local listings. And of course, Bobby Cox coming down the stretch of his sensational managerial career.
Starting in 1979 with the Atlanta Braves. Then he went to the American League and managed the Toronto Blue Jays until after the '85 season. Became the general manager of the Braves, and then back on the bench in 1991.
Kalish with the lead at first, and the pitch to Nava is a called strike. Bobby Cox, wherever he has gone in this final tour, has gotten presence and tremendous and much deserved adulation from visiting managers, or home managers we should say, when he's gone on the road, and fans. The 0-1 to Nava, and it hits him. So Godin hits Daniel Nava, and the Kalish will advance to second, and the Red Sox now have 2 runners on with 1 out.
Ball hitting Dan right above the knee. You mentioned Bobby Cox. Next Saturday is Bobby Cox Day in Atlanta. It's got to be disconcerting with this team as close as it is. They're tied with San Diego now in the wild card race, and Bobby even bringing it up that all this adulation and everything is very, very nice, and he's appreciative of it. But his team is fighting for a postseason berth, and he doesn't want that to overwhelm the team's performance.
And the Braves right in the thick of it. Of course, they're still alive in the National League East, trailing the Phillies. And here is Lars Anderson. And Anderson taking ball 1. And, of course, Mike Lowell is going to be honored at Fenway Park next week. Ken Rosenthal, well-deserved for Mike Lowell as well.
He is very excited about it. He told me yesterday that he was having a conversation with his father, Dick. And he says to his dad, "Hey, I'll pick this up in a second."
Fly ball, left field. Austin Kearns leaps and makes the catch. And the runners go back to their bases. So there are 2 out, and runners remain at first and second. But more on Mike Lowell.
Right, Dick. Basically, he said to his dad, Ken Griffey Jr. didn't get this kind of send-off. He's going to the Hall of Fame. I might only get into my high school Hall of Fame. He was being exceedingly modest there. He's had a tremendous career, but his whole family's coming in from Miami. And he told his wife, hey, make sure the camcorder is fully charged.
And the good news is that he is not in bad shape after getting hit in the temple. All signs pointed that he is fine. They're going to continue with tests, but it's better today than it appeared last night, for sure. 2 down, Marco Scutaro takes ball 1, 1-0.
We've talked about Mike Lowell before. If Mike wanted to, in my view, he could be a major league manager. He's bilingual. He's smart. He's had a great career. He's had a respected career. He's respected by everyone. We talk about a guy who, some guys after all those years in uniform, they don't want any more of it.
He's been a pro.
He certainly has.
And a classy one.
Every sense of the word.
Scutaro steps out. Red Sox with runners at first and second with 2 down. Leading by a score of 4-0. They have all 6 hits in this game. Chad Godin, the 3rd pitcher for the Yankees. And Scutaro lifts the fly ball deep to right field. And making the catch for the 3rd out is Nick Swisher. Meanwhile, the story here is John Lester. He has a no-hitter going as the Yankees come up in the bottom of the 6th inning. Can Lester keep it going against the Red Sox top rivals? We'll be right back. Austin Kearns takes ball one from John Lester as the Yankees bat in the 6th inning. Yankees do not have a hit, and Lester has faced the minimum 15 batters through the first 5. Kearns struck out his first time up. Way in front of that one, and the count 1-1.
We talked about the cutter that John Lester has been throwing and getting a lot of mileage out of today. Putting pressure on the middle finger, and it's really a poor man's slider. It cuts in on a right-handed batter. That was a curveball, but it cuts in on a right-hander from a left-handed pitcher more than it slides in. The slider, you can pick up the spin. It's held so, the good ones are held so tightly that the spin is like that of a dime. Almost put a dime on the spin, but the cutter is very difficult to pick up.
And Lester falls behind Austin Kearns. 3 balls and a strike with Curtis Granderson on deck. Last inning, Lester walked Alex Rodriguez to start the inning, but then Cano hit into a double play started by Lester, and it was a 1-2-3 inning, and now Kearns walks. And time for a DirecTV game break. DirecTV, the only to watch every MLB game in HD. Joey Votto, with his 36th home run, ties the game against the San Diego Padres 3-3 after San Diego had led 3-1. Votto, 3rd in the league in home runs and 3rd in runs batted in. So the Reds, magic number 2, with the Cardinals losing today to the Cubs, can make it 1 if they can go on and beat the Padres, who have problems of their own in the NL West. Here's Granderson. He takes a strike.
Votto has missed the last 3 Cincinnati games with a sinus infection, but it's going to be interesting to see who wins the MVP in the National League. I think Votto has a slight edge over Carlos Gonzalez or Albert Pujols, because those 2 teams, the Rockies appear to be out of it at 4.5 back, 4 back in the wild card, and of course the Cardinals, it would take a miracle for them to reach postseason.
Francisco Cervelli swinging the bat in the on-deck circle. No balls and 2 strikes to Granderson, who struck out his first time up, and he fouls this one off, and it remains 0-2. Red Sox leading 4-0. They scored 3 runs in the 3rd inning and added 1 in the 5th. David Ortiz has knocked in 2 with a pair of singles. Marco Scutaro with an RBI base hit, and another run coming in on a double play. So it's Granderson against Lester. Lefty against lefty. The 0-2. Inside for a ball. Yankees have lost 3 in a row at home. And in the last 2 games, CC Sabathia and Andy Pettitte have struggled. That just misses outside. 2-2 to Granderson. What a year he's had. 22 homers and 61 runs batted in. He hit one of the 6 home runs struck by the Yankees last night in their 10-8 loss. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and a slow bounding ball to Scutaro makes the play to first as Kearns goes to second, and there's 1 away here in the 6th. That'll bring up Francisco Cervelli, the Yankee catcher. Fly ball was to Drew in right field his first time. But this is, we talked about the apprehensive situation for the Yankees in the last week, Tim, and this, of course, another one where they have not managed a base hit. There's A.J. Burnett, who is slated to be the 2nd pitcher for the Yankees in the division series.
Perhaps, unless Andy Pettitte has a good outing his next time out. Maybe Pettitte, the number 2 guy. Phil Hughes will be in there, and Joe Girardi and Dave Allen just hope they have that decision to make. Again, the magic number is 3.
Ball 1 to Cervelli. So the Yankees have a runner in scoring position for the first time today with Kearns. And Derek Jeter Top of the order waits on deck for the Yankees. Kearns walked and advanced on a grounder. And a shot, line drive, left field, coming in and diving and unable to handle it is Daniel Nava. And the throw goes into second base and everyone is safe, and that should be a base hit by Cervelli. See what the official score rules.
It's got to be a hit. Nice try by Nava. Ball looked like it hit him on the wrist. Diving too far for that ball. He overdived. Kearns goes halfway and scampers back. It's got to be a hit, though. I mean, when you dive like that, got to be a hit.
And it hit on the heel of the glove, but you're right. He ran in a lot. It's a base hit. So the Yankees have their first hit. Kearns, of course, remains at second with one out, and here is Derek Jeter. And for the first time today, his crowd has come alive. Jeter is 0 for 2. Takes down low, ball 1.
Here it is one more time. Nava diving, and actually dives too far, and it hits him on the wrist. May have gotten leather. Yep. Heel of the hand. First hit for the Yankees.
2 runners on, 1 out. And the count 1-0 to Jeter. Chopper through the hole in the left field for a base hit. They're going to wave Kearns in. Here comes the throw to the plate, and Kearns is out at home. Runners advance to second and third, and Daniel Nava with a terrific throw to Victor Martinez, who applied the tag on Austin Kearns for the second out.
Austin Kearns is a fast runner, but Nava cheating in left field on the ground ball. Misses the cutoff man, but a fine tag by Victor Martinez. That catcher's mitt is not designed to make a tag with the mitt. But often you don't have a chance to get it in your bare hand, and Martinez makes the tag quickly to get Kearns.
So a big play by both Nava and Martinez. The runners advance. Granderson to third and Cervelli to second. Or Jeter to second, excuse me. And Cervelli to third. So there are 2 down, and Nick Swisher coming up. And the score remains 4-0 in favor of the Red Sox. Swisher is 0 for 2. Took a called third strike his last time up. Ball 1.
When a team trails by 4 runs, the third base coach is always going to be second guess when he sends a runner. Rob Thompson, I'm sure there will be talk of that. But I think what Robbie thought was that Nava was playing deep enough for Jeter, and that the ball was a 38 hopper through the middle. Kearns had a good jump from second base, and that he could score. But a fine play by Nava. That's upset that theory. Here it is one more time through the infield, and Kearns got a good jump, and Thompson didn't even slow down. He sent him all the way, and a fine throw, fine tag by Martinez upset that strategy.
And it wasn't with nobody out or 2 out. There was 1 out at the time.
Right.
And it was a bang-bang play at the plate. And if that throw had been up the line a little more, the runner would have scored easily. Instead, he is out, and the Yankees with runners at second and third with 2 down. Jeter at second, Cervelli at third. 1-1, the count to Nick Swisher. Now 2-1 to the Yankee right fielder. Yankees have Jabba Chamberlain throwing in their bullpen. So the Yankees held without a hit until the 6th inning, and they have 2 hits, but no runs to show for it. And Swisher lifts a fly ball to shallow right field. And Drew makes the catch to retire the side. The Yankees still trail 4-0. And here's why. Novice throw to Martinez, who applies the tag to Austin Kearns. Saturday Baseball on Fox is presented by Gillette. And the Yankee fans, not much to cheer about today. Finally got their first hits off of John Lester, but could not get a run across. So it is still 4-0 as J.D. Drew, with the count 1-0, leading off against Chad Gaudin. Drew is 1 for 3, doubled his last time up to the opposite field. And he hits a pop foul out of play. 1-1. Victor Martinez, who applied that tag to Austin Kearns. So easy to second guess and say a coach should not have sent a runner when you see the result. And Drew hits one deep to right field, way back and gone. A home run by J.D. Drew. And the Red Sox have up their lead to 5-0. For Drew, his 20th home run of the year and RBI number 65. So now it's 5-0 with the leadoff home run.
By the way, that is the 6th season that J.D. Drew has had 20 home runs. Ball easily out here at Yankee Stadium.
Victor Martinez has walked twice after a fly out to Kearns in left field his first time up. 0 for 1 officially. And a ball inside.
There was a changeup from Gaudin. And reactions like this are common when a pitcher gives up a home run.
1 ball and 1 strike to Victor Martinez. Ivan Nova started for the Yankees this afternoon, worked 4 2/3 innings, gave up 4 runs on 4 hits. Royce Ring came in and faced David Ortiz, gave up a base hit, and then Gaudin came on, and now he's given up the home run to Drew, and another one. Victor Martinez hits one, And this one is out of here. Back-to-back home runs by Drew and Martinez. And the Red Sox now lead it 6-0. Home run number 19 for Victor Martinez, who now leads All-American League catchers in homers and RBIs. 19 homers and 74 runs driven in.
This ball was really smoked. A low fastball. Just a matter of whether it was high enough, and it was, for another home run. His 19th of the year for Martinez.
So it's 6-0, and David Ortiz, who has singled and knocked in 2 runs with base hits in the 3rd and 5th innings, and takes ball 1. So the Red Sox explode here in the 7th inning after the Yankees finally get their first hits off of John Lester with back-to-back homers by Drew and Martinez. Still nobody out, and 1-1 to Big Poppy.
And just think, on Tuesday night, after beating the Tampa Bay Rays, Dick, for the second game of that 4-game series, the Yankees were 2.5 games in first place. Since then, they've given up 33 runs. 2 of those games against Tampa Bay, and 1+.
And there's a drive to right field, and it's caught. Great catch by Nick Swisher in right field, and that looked like that was going to sail over his head.
Boy, you could really tell Nick Swisher going after that line drive how hurtful that left knee was. And that's what we were talking about earlier. Joe Girardi and Brian Cashman trying to get the Yankees healthy for the postseason. Boy, his knee is really bothering him. It's almost like he's going after it with one leg.
It's so obvious on that play.
Yeah.
So there's 1 out, and Joe Girardi trying to have his team hold on. They're half a game behind the Tampa Bay Rays, who will be playing home to the Seattle Mariners tonight. And Adrian Beltre takes a fastball for ball 1. So Sanchez warming up in the bullpen for the Yankees. Romulo Sanchez, a rookie right-hander. And the breaking ball missing, and it's 2-0 to Beltre. You know, going back even before this week's game with Tampa Bay, Tim, the Yankees have lost 12 out of 18 after having a 2.5 game lead. And another base hit to left center field. Beltre with a single. And the Yankees are battering Chad Gaudin, or the Red Sox are, here in the 7th inning. 2 homers, a line drive that Swisher handled beautifully, and then Beltre's a base hit, and that'll be all. Yankees 6-12, and Tampa Bay 9-9 in the same span. If the Rays hadn't been just a 500 team, the Yankees would be much farther out of first place. Gaudin leaves the game. Sanchez will come in and will be back in just a moment. from Venezuela, who pitched 2 years for the Pirates, has come on. Will face Jed Lowry, who was 0 for 3. And Adrian Beltre on at first base. Back-to-back homers to start the inning by J.D. Drew and Victor Martinez off of Chad Godin. 6-0. 1 out. The Red Sox in front 6-0 after winning last night 10-8. And Ken Rosenthal, there are a lot of clubs that have emotions and a lot at stake in what they're seeing here in this game.
Sure, every other AL playoff qualifier is loving seeing this happen to the Yankees. If you're Minnesota, one possible opponent, you want to see the Yankees go to the end. You want to see them use all the starting pitching that they have to. Same with Tampa Bay, same with Texas, depending upon who they face. Really, the Red Sox can exhaust the Yankees to a degree in these final days.
And don't forget, the magic number is still 3, and after today, 7 games remain, and it's possible the Red Sox will climb within 5 games, of the Yankees in the loss column. And as we mentioned, Dustin Mosley is getting the call tomorrow, Tim, and against Clay Buchholz. And we mentioned Lester, the best road ERA in the league. Well, Buchholz has the 3rd best.
Buchholz also behind Frank Rodriguez. Felix Rodriguez with Seattle. 3rd time's a charm. Felix Hernandez. I beg your pardon.
Two strikes to Lowry, and the ball getting away, no advance by Beltre. So it's not been a pleasant series for the Yankees in their final series at home against Boston. Lowry getting set again in the batter's box. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tim, it's a far cry from the Yankees down the stretch this year to last year.
Oh, there's no question about that. Tampa Bay, by the way, if they are tied with the Yankees after 162 games, the fact that Tampa Bay won 10 of 18 against the Yankees this year would give them the division and put the Yankees as the wild card contender.
Full count now to Lowry. With 1 out, the Red Sox scoring 3 in the 3rd, sending 8 to the plate. A couple of walks, a hit batsman, and 3 singles. And then Ortiz knocking in J.D. Drew with a base hit in the 5th, and then home runs back-to-back to start this 7th inning by Drew and Martinez. And a healthy lead by Boston. Ball 4, and Lowry walks, reaches base for the first time today. Beltre goes to 2nd with 1 out. You talked about the last 4 games with the Yankee pitching.
That's big.
Not the way you want to enter into postseason as Ryan Kalish comes up. They talk about momentum being tomorrow's starting pitching, but for the Yankees, that hasn't been a reason to change their momentum. 1-0 to Kalish, who's 1 for 2 with a single. Was hit by a pitch in the 3rd inning and has scored a run.
Yankees leave tomorrow night after the game. They go to Toronto and they face a team that is far and away the best home run hitting team in the major leagues. And there's not been a time for Mariano Rivera over the last 4 Yankee games.
Two runners on and 1 out. And the count now 2 balls, no strikes to Kalish, and Cervelli will go to the mound to talk to Sanchez. So the Yankees now looks like they're going to their bullpen again. Kenny, it doesn't get any better right now for the pinstripes.
No, it doesn't, Dick. And in fairness, none of the 4 pitchers the Yankees used today, well, it's possible that none of them will be on the postseason roster. But the way this is heading, the Yankees will open on the road in Minnesota. The Twins have been a terrific home team this year. It's just not the way you want to go into it.
Certainly not. And of course, you also want to talk about the hitting aspect and hitting in timely fashion, which the Yankees have had some problems as well during their 6-12 problem. And it's not just the pitching.
Twins with the best home record in baseball, by the way, at 52-25 as we speak.
In that spanking new ballpark. And that really is a home advantage for them.
Yes.
3-1 now to Ryan Kalish. And Romulo Sanchez 1 pitch away from loading the bases with Daniel Nava on deck. We talked about Terry Francona never being named manager of the year. Neither is Ron Gardenhire.
Certainly under consideration this year. The Twins have won their division 6 times in the last 9 years. That's the Central Division of the American League.
That was a close battle for a while. Alvaladeo is now in the bullpen. Pop foul.
That looked like hand cream.
Off the glove of Cervelli.
That looked like hand cream that Alvaladeo was putting on his hands. I don't think I've ever seen that. A pitcher put hand cream on his hands before he started warming up in the bullpen. It's a new one.
Well, there might be a history of pitchers putting some foreign substance on their hands.
Oh, there is. There is definitely, but not hand cream.
No. As Victor Martinez coming over to help Cervelli and actually lifting him out of the dugout. You know about this fraternity, right?
It's a very small fraternity.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Well, every team has one. Ball 4, and Kalish draws a walk, and the bases are loaded. Daniel Nava coming up now as Beltre goes to third, Lowry to second. And Dave Island coming out to the mound.
Here it is right here. Alvaladeo. I think that's obviously it's not sunscreen, but putting hand cream. I don't think I've ever seen that. I've seen pitchers and hitters use hand cream, but never while in uniform.
This is in the clubhouse when they're about ready to get on the team bus.
Yeah, right.
Here's Daniel Nava. He's been on base twice and has scored a run, has walked and was hit by a pitch. Officially 0 for 1. Well, the Red Sox leading 6-0. They've out-hit the Yankees 9-2 and on the prowl for more. Ball strike to Nava. Beltre, Lowry, and Kalish. And the inning started with back-to-back home runs by Drew and Martinez. And shots over the auxiliary scoreboard in right field. Big cut and a miss. And it's 0-2 to Nava.
Looked like a changeup from Sanchez. Or a screwball. That ball had some screwball action to it.
The 0-2 and stays alive against Alvaladeo. Pitched last night, worked an inning and 2/3. Alvaladeo in the bullpen, and Sanchez trying to pitch out of it. Bases are loaded with 1 out here in the 7th inning. And getting a piece of it is Nava, and again stays alive. Beltre singled off of Godin, and then Romulo Sanchez came in, and he has walked Lowry and Kalish. One and two. This may be the quietest capacity crowd we've ever heard here at Yankee Stadium.
I think that's well put.
Two and two, just missing outside. Red Sox team has refused to wilt, despite the fact that most of their big stars have been injured throughout this year. 19 players on the disabled list.
We talked about it earlier in the game about our nod to Terry Francona as the manager of the year in the American League. It's rarely given to a manager who finishes third in a division, even though it's the toughest division in baseball. But Tony Pena, commenting on Tyler Kepner's article in the New York Times this morning, Tony Pena is saying that he thinks Terry Francona should be manager of the year.
And very often, Tim, as you know, managers are given the nod because of the improvement a team shows. In this case, it's because what he's done with a lot of them injured. And then you got to talk about Ron Gardenhire, who actually has achieved a division title.
Right.
2-2 pitch fastball, strike three, and Nava goes down for out number two. The bases remain loaded. And without Joe Nathan and without Morneau.
Starting the season without Joe Nathan. The Minnesota Twins didn't even have a closer starting the season. They had to find one. Now, how can you win a division without a closer? It's very difficult. They closer by committee with the Twins.
So there are two down. Lars Anderson, who is 1 for 3 with a base hit, has scored one of the 6 runs. Romulo Sanchez. Trying to pitch out of it. And a call strike. John Lester has been sitting in that dugout for quite a while now, about 23 minutes since this inning has started. Foul back. 0-2 the count to Lars Anderson. He is the 8th batter to come up. Marco Scudero, the Red Sox leadoff hitter, would be next. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Down low.
One of the difficult things about September baseball for hitters is trying to learn the pitchers that have been added to the roster in September. Can expand from 25 to 40 players in September, and a lot of pitchers with whom you're not familiar.
And Anderson strikes out. 23 minutes. But Drew and Martinez with home runs to start this inning, giving the Red Sox a 6-0 lead as Lester comes out for the bottom of the 7th. Verizon, the signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. Verizon. By Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Advil, make Advil your #1 choice. Well, the National League pennant race is heading for an amazing finish, and this October, the 4 best teams will collide in a month of games filled with drama, excitement, and thrills to see which teams will advance to the World Series. Coverage of baseball's postseason returns October 16th with the NLCS, followed by the World Series only on Fox. And John Lester coming out for the 7th inning, leading 6-0, and the Red Sox have made a change. Eric Patterson is now playing left field, replacing Daniel Nava. So there's Patterson, another one of those players who has been forced to see prominent action this year amidst the injuries to the Red Sox outfield. Mike Cameron, Jacoby Ellsbury in particular. Here's Mark Teixeira leading off in the bottom of the 7th inning. Against John Lester, he has struck out twice today. Lester has struck out 7, had not allowed a hit until 1 out and 1 on in the 6th when Francisco Cervelli lined one to left field. Daniel Nava charged it, was off his glove for a hit. Derek Jeter followed with a base hit. And on that hit, Austin Kearns was thrown out at the plate on a throw from Nava to Victor Martinez. And that's been the closest the Yanks have come to scoring. 0-1 the count to Teixeira. Coming in 4th in the league with 32 home runs. And fouled at the plate, it's 0-2.
Mark hitting only .255, but he has had a productive .255 with his runs scored and runs driven in.
Fouls it back, and it's still 0-2. John Lester looking for his 19th win of the year. He is tied for 2nd of the most victories in the league with Justin Verlander and David Price. CC Sabathia has 20 to lead the league. 1-2 now to Teixeira. Will be followed by Alex Rodriguez and Robinson Cano here in the 7th. There's CC Sabathia, slated to go Friday at Fenway Park and be the Yankees' opening pitcher in the division series. 2 balls and 2 strikes. John Lester with a shot at 20 wins if he wins this game, and in his final start, Mel Parnell won 21 back in '53, and this line shot is out of play. Talk about how left-handers may not be that successful against the Green Monster at Fenway Park. Mel Parnell had a great career. Bill Lee won 17 games for 3 straight seasons.
That's right. And that last name on that left-handers list, Maury McDermott.
Bruce Hurst, another left-hander, was successful. In fact, left-handed hitters had great years at Fenway Park. And we know, of course, you mentioned Ted Williams earlier, Carl Yastrzemski.
Fred Lynn. Fred Lynn, the only player ever that was the Rookie of the Year and the MVP in 1975. Dick Stockton, my partner's first year doing Boston play-by-play.
And you were with the Red Sox for a good part of that season. And I will contend that if you had been in that clubhouse with your savvy and veteran wiles, the Red Sox might have beaten the Reds in that World Series. Here's the payoff pitch. Low ball 4. They could have used you down the stretch. Ball 4, and Teixeira is on with nobody on. But weekdays make lunchtime your prime time with Lunch with Benefits on FoxSports.com, and watch one-of-a-kind sports shows online from your computer Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Monday we've got the after party where Jake Glazer chats with the biggest performers from the previous day's NFL games. Get ready for another helping of Lunch with Benefits as we kick off Season 2 on FoxSports.com. Alex Rodriguez has flied out and walked. He was the first Yankee base runner with the leadoff walk in the 5th. Down low, 1-0.
That was a terrific at bat by Mark Teixeira, trying to get the Yankees and something going here. Yankees have 46 come from behind wins this year. That's the most in baseball. But they've got a real uphill battle against John Lester.
Down low, and there goes Teixeira, and the ball getting away from Martinez, and Teixeira advances to second. And the count 2-0 to Alex Rodriguez. That's a wild pitch charged to Lester. 6th of the year for John. Don Farrell, the pitching coach, on the phone. In fact, the last 3 innings, the Yankees have had the leadoff man on by virtue of a walk. Rodriguez in the 5th, Austin Kearns last inning. Teixeira here, he's on at second. And the count 2-0 to A-Rod. And Daniel Bard, who has been a marvelous setup man this year for the Red Sox, getting up now in the bullpen. And the count 2-1 to A-Rod. Bard has had a huge season, coming in the 8th inning primarily for John Papelbon, who has 37 saves this year, but also 7 blown saves, the most in his career.
Yeah, his earned run average is the highest it's ever been.
Here's the 2-1 pitch, fastball, and it's missed by A-Rod, and it's 2-2.
Lester with a cutter throws it away from right-handers and inside to right-handers. That has certainly been his best pitch this afternoon.
That cutter was 93 miles an hour. Teixeira with the lead at second base. And A-Rod goes down. Strikeout number 8 for John Lester, and there's 1 gone.
Cut fastball outside. A-Rod missing that cutter by a couple of inches. Gloria Stefan's one of my favorite song stylists. I think her music is terrific, and she had a popular song about 20 years ago called "It Cuts Both Ways," and I think of when I'm watching Lester with the cutter away from right-handed batters, cutter in on him. That's what he's done today. He's had that fastball cut both ways.
Ball 1 to Robinson Cano. 0 for 2. Cano had a career high last year of 25 home runs, and he's already exceeded that by 3 with 7 games remaining after tonight. Pops it up, foul territory. Beltre tries to backhand it and makes the play. Adrian Beltre, nope, dropped it. Third base umpire Jerry Crawford was there.
I
thought he gave the sign.
I think he had it in the webbing. I thought Crawford gave the sign too, but he did not have it in the webbing. And that, nope. Yeah, you can see Jerry Crawford. I thought he went up with the right hand, but he didn't, and Beltre's left arm appears to be all right.
So Cano remains in there with the count 1-1. And a squibbler to Lowry, and his only play to first base. or out number 2 as Teixeira moves to third. 2 down here in the 7th inning to Marcus Thames. Al Valadeo again is up in the bullpen for the Yankees. Thames has struck out twice, once looking. Mark Teixeira on at third base. The Yankees have been shut out thus far today, 6-0. Ball 1 to Marcus Thames.
Yankees trying to avoid losing 4 in a row here at Yankee Stadium this year. They lost 5 in a row once last year, and have lost 3 in a row here at Yankee Stadium several times this year, but not 4 in a row.
In for the strike, 1-1. If the Yankees don't come back in this game and the Rays defeat Seattle tonight, it'll be game-and-a-half lead for Tampa Bay, but 2 in the loss column. When people talk about the loss column, it gets extra added emphasis because those are games you can't make up. You can't make up losses. 2 balls and a strike to Thames. The 100th pitch of the game by Lester is down low, and it's 3-1. Austin Kearns would be next for the Yankees. Three balls and 1 strike with 2 down. Bottom of the 7th inning, the Red Sox in front 6-0. Trying to make it 2 in a row over the Yankees, and Thames fouls it off. Terry Francona's Red Sox continue to battle. Magic number is 3. Any combination of Yankee wins or Red Sox losses totaling 3 will eliminate Boston from the playoff race. To third base, Beltre across the diamond, and that'll do it. And we have completed 7 here at Yankee Stadium. Mostly it's been a very quiet day. Red Sox 6, Yankees nothing. has come in for the Yankees. He is their 5th pitcher of the afternoon, turning into evening and facing Marco Scudero, and the first pitch is a strike. Scudero is 1 for 4 with a single and a run batted in. Twice today, the Red Sox have sent 8 men to the plate. The 3rd inning and last inning, the 7th. And a shot past A-Rod into left field. Scudero rounds first and heading into second with a double as Austin Kearns retrieves. So a leadoff double by Scudero, his 2nd hit of the game, starts the 8th inning.
Baladeo with 43 saves in 57 appearances at the AAA affiliate of the Yankees, Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Gives up a leadoff double to Scudero to open the 8th.
And here's J.D. Drew, who blasted a home run to lead off last inning, his 20th home run of the year. Doubled his time at bat before that, is 2 for 4. So the Red Sox, leading 6-0, have another runner in scoring position. This breaking ball is inside. Texas is playing Oakland, and the Texas Rangers, magic number 2, a victory over the A's, would capture the AL West as Drew fouls it out of play, and it's 1-1. They're in the top of the 8th inning, and the score is tied 3-3 as the A's have come back in this game. Runner at second is Scudero. Red Sox now have 10 hits off of 5 Yankee pitchers. 2-1. Win today for the Red Sox would even their season series with the Yankees at 7-7 and give them a 5-3 edge here at Yankee Stadium. And a swing on the high fastball evens the count. Red Sox bullpen with Scott Atchison warming up. He appeared last night and was a victim of one of the 6 home runs by the Yankees. Grounder to Cano. He'll make the play for the first out. Scudero will go to third. Time for a DirecTV game break in the bottom of the 7th inning. Texas leading 3-1. 1 out. 1 on, 2 out. Cliff Pennington with a 2-run homer off of Clay Rapana. Landon Powell scores in front of him. And that blow tied the game as the A's, trying to stay alive, are now even with the Rangers 3-3. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Texas trying to get to the postseason for the first time since 1999. They are a good ball club.
Yes, they are. An unpredictable team.
Particularly if they get Josh Hamilton back.
Victor Martinez with a big swing and play made by Teixeira for out number 2. So Ken Rosenthal, what about Hamilton's possible return?
Dick, he hasn't played since September 4th, and they are still waiting for his recovery from fractured ribs. Lately, he's had a problem in his side. It's questionable. He's going to be back, they believe, but the question is, how effective will he be? And without him, in the last couple of weeks, their offense has really sputtered.
Word is that Josh perhaps could be ready for the last weekend of the season. We'll just have to wait and see. The Rangers, not only are the Yankees pressed for postseason rosters, but so are the Rangers.
No question. They're going to walk David Ortiz intentionally with 2 out, putting runners at first and third, and pitch to Adrian Beltre. We said at the outset the Red Sox coming in with an 85-68 record, and that would put them in a tie with the Texas Rangers for first place in the AL West. But I don't think they're going to move around the teams at this rate.
No.
And change divisions.
No. No, that won't happen.
So Beltre, who singled his last time up, 1 for 4 on the day. Facing Al Baladeo. Ivan Nova started for the Yankees, gave up 4 of the 6 runs in 4 2/3 innings. Chad Godin gave up the other 2 on back-to-back homers by Drew and Victor Martinez in the 7th. Runners at first and third, 2 down. And a foul at the plate, strike 1 to Beltre. So the Rays and the Twins tied for the best record in the American League. And the Yankees right now a half a game behind. And then, Tim, the question is how really important is the home field advantage?
I think with Minnesota, I mean, you could have made a case when they were playing in the Metrodome that the home field advantage favored them. But I mean, the Yankees went in 5 games over the last 4 years. They've won 5 of those games, hit 7 home runs in those games. So Minnesota did not live up to the home field advantage hype.
Well, the Yankees have lost to the wild card Red Sox in 04 and to the Marlins in the World Series, who were a wild card team in 03. We see that cut by Beltre. So I guess if you got your closer going and you play solid defense, you can win wherever you play. But who does not want to start at home?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And a lot of it has to do with how you got there, too. I mean, if the Yankees get there as a wild card team, it's going to be disappointing. And if you go to Minnesota as a wild card team, I mean, that's got to have a psychological effect of some kind on you, because, I mean, here we were talking last Tuesday, they had a 2.5 game lead over Tampa Bay.
2-2 pitch. And it's popped up short right field. Cano makes the catch, and that'll do it. And the Yankees will come up in the bottom of the 8th. They haven't gotten a run, and they trail 6-0. Odor Shield Antiperspirant. Help eliminate odor. Don't just cover it up. And sponsored by Napa. Napa know-how. And by Bank of America. Get MLB banking only from Bank of America. Josh Reddick is now in right field, and Brett Gardner will come up and pinch hit for Austin Kearns here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And Daniel Bard is in, leading the American League in holds with 31, and earned his 31st hold last night with a scoreless 8th inning. This is his 70th appearance of the year, facing Gardner, with the Red Sox up 6-0, and the first pitch missing, ball 1. So Gardner hitting .277 with 5 homers and 46 runs batted in. And the pitch is up high.
At 96 miles an hour, I mean, Bard can get close to 100. 98 miles per hour is not unusual for the young man with the electric arm.
Gardner is 4 for 11 with a homer and 7 RBIs as a pinch hitter. He takes a call strike, and it's now 2-1. There's Curtis Granderson on deck. Yankees trying to get something going here in the 8th inning. They were stymied by John Lester, who pitched 7 scoreless innings, allowed 2 hits, struck out 8, and walked 3, and left after throwing 102 pitches, and well on his way to his 19th win of the year. Gardner fouls it off, and the count is even at 2-2. Joe Girardi trying to find the answers to end what could be a 4-game losing streak, all at home, if the Yankees don't come back from this 6-run deficit. Gardner fouls it off. It's still 2-2.
And if the Yankees don't come back, they clearly go into tomorrow night's game against the Red Sox with a bad pitching matchup. Buchholz against Mosley. Dustin's done a very good job for the Yankees when called upon to spot start, but nowhere near the class of Clay Buchholz.
2-2 pitch slapped to the left side. Beltre cutting over in front of Lowry. Got there but couldn't handle it, and Gardner is on. So the Yankees have had the leadoff runner on in each of the last 4 innings.
This will probably go as a base hit because it's a very difficult play off the side of the glove of Beltre.
And it is. You're right.
Yep. Even if Beltre made that play, I don't think he has a chance on getting Gardner at first.
So Granderson is up, and Lance Berkman is in the on-deck circle and will pinch hit for Cervelli. And now they have changed the call to an error.
Oh. Okay.
And maybe the fact that Beltre wandered a little bit too far in what could have been a play made by Lowry.
Now, if it gets to Lowry, though, there's no way to get Gardner. He's too fast. And that's what Beltre was thinking.
In any event, the Yankees have the leadoff man on, trailing 6-0, and the count 0-1 to Granderson. One and one. Chevrolet honors the spirit of the community, supporting the 2010 Roberto Clemente Award. Cast your vote for one of this year's nominees at Chevy.com/Clemente, and you could win a trip to the World Series to see the on-field announcement of the national winner. And Granderson hits a fly ball to right center field, going back, could be trouble, and it's gone! Into the bullpen, Curtis Granderson ends the Red Sox shutout hopes with a 2-run homer, and it's 6-2. Number 23 for Granderson. And the Yankees finally come alive at the plate.
This looked like a hanging splitter from Bard. 89 miles an hour. It certainly wasn't his fastball, and you can bet Daniel Bard's thinking about that in that shot.
And now Lance Berkman will come up and pinch hit for Cervelli. And as we mentioned, Berkman hit his first home run in a Yankee uniform this past week. Acquired from Houston on July the 31st. Came off the 15-day disabled list on the beginning of September. Had a sprained ankle, missed 14 games, and here he is against Bard. 6-2 the score. Red Sox lead as Berkman fouls off the pitch for a strike. By the way, the nominees for both of these clubs for the Roberto Clemente Award, Tim Wakefield for the Red Sox and Curtis Granderson, who just homered for the Yankees. And there's Jabba Chamberlain warming up in the bullpen. It's a 6-2 game. So now the Yankees are looking for base runners here, down by 4 runs here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Still nobody out. Breaking pitch up and in, 1-2 to Berkman. So John Lester pitched 7 scoreless innings, and then Daniel Bard gives up a 2-run homer to Granderson after Brett Gardner reached base on an error charged to Adrian Beltre. Foul back, still 1-2. Daniel Bard, 25 years old. Opposing hitters are hitting 177 against Bard.
Paltry.
Now back, Bard almost became a Yankee. He did not sign with the Yankees back in 2003 after he was drafted by the Yanks. Instead, he accepted a scholarship to pitch for the University of North Carolina. So here he is pitching against the Red Sox chief rivals and against the team he could have been with.
From a Tar Heel to a Red Sox.
Carolina blue to red and blue. In the dirt. And he went around. Berkman swung at the pitch. Jerry Crawford rules, and he's down for out number 1.
Yeah, I think it went too far. He didn't want to. The slider down and in. He did clearly go too far. And that call correctly by Jerry Crawford, the third base umpire. No argument for Berkman.
1 out, and Derek Jeter up for the 4th time in the game. 1 for 3, single to left his last time. Talked about the Yankees' ability to come from behind this season. And of course, they're faced with that with the innings starting to run out here. 1 out, nobody on base, and a ball inside.
They've done it 46 times. That leads the major leagues.
Bard opposed by Jeter. Breaking ball, and it's outside, 2-0. Can the Yankees make it 47? They got pretty big mountain to climb here in the 8th. And it's 3-0. Nick Swisher on deck for the Yankees. Curtis Granderson, who got the Yankees on the scoreboard with his 2-run homer here in the 8th inning off of Daniel Bard. And it's going to be ball 4. Granderson obviously hitting better. The 2-run homer. And one of the reasons why, Ken Rosenthal.
Often talk about the impact of a hitting coach. Kevin Long, the Yankees coach, completely redid Curtis Granderson's swing, and we'll show you how. There it is. Granderson's got an open stance there, a lot of hand movement, and then a one-handed finish. Now, closed stance, less movement, two-handed finish, 13 home runs since he took 2 days off in mid-August. Obvious results.
And we saw it this inning. Curtis Granderson, 10 homers in the first 90 games, 13 in the next 40. And here is Nick Swisher, who is 3 for 5 against Daniel Bard, including a home run. Remember last night the Yankees were trailing 10-1. Okajima and Papelbon are warming up for the Red Sox here in this 8th inning.
Here's the key guy right here, Nick Swisher. Swisher gets on, and then you've got Teixeira and Rodriguez following. If you get Swisher out, then you have Teixeira. If he comes with the long ball, you're still 2 runs up. So a key man right here.
Strike one. And remember last night the Red Sox were seemingly comfortably in front, Tim, 10-1.
Right.
And the Yankees ended up with a tying run at the plate. They lost 10-8. Pointed out the knee that affected Swisher on his great catch in right field earlier in the game. Trying to check his swing, and it's a strike. 0-2 now to Swisher.
Well, it clearly is bothering him. It's the knee off of which he pushes when he bats left-handed. He didn't think he went around, but home plate umpire Chris Guccione said he did.
No balls and 2 strikes puts Nick Swisher in a hole here. Teixeira's on deck. But the Yankees looking for more base runners. Derek Jeter, who walked on at first with 1 away here in the 8th. 6-2, the Red Sox lead. And the breaking ball just missed, and it's 1-2. I think Bard wanted that one.
Now, it looked a little high to me. Yeah, too tall.
Good pitch fought off by Swisher. Red Sox scored 3 in the 3rd. Added 1 in the 5th, and then when Drew and Martinez hit back-to-back home runs, gave the Red Sox a 6-0 lead. But the Yankees have struck back here in the 8th inning on Curtis Granderson's 2-run homer. They have a runner at first with 1 out, and 1-2 to Nick Swisher. And he strikes out on a fastball up in the zone for out number 2. So Bard settling down. Strikes out Berkman, walks Jeter, and now Swisher he gets.
There aren't too many hitters in the American League who are going to catch up to that letter-high fastball, 98 miles an hour. If it's down in the strike zone, you'll make contact, and you could pull it, but not up.
So here's Teixeira, who struck out twice against John Lester and walked against him in the 7th inning. So he's 0 for 2. Pitch high and inside, 1-0. Jeter held on by Anderson. Two balls and no strikes to Teixeira. On deck is Alex Rodriguez. Bard's 2-0 pitch. Another high fastball fouled back by Teixeira. 2-1.
Yeah, that was ball 3. That's similar to the pitch on which Swisher struck out. Mark a little too anxious on that 2-0 fastball.
They're going after the high stuff. The Yankees don't come back in this one. The Rays can extend their lead over the Yankees to a game and a half in the division race. With a game against Seattle. There's a ball caught by Scudero, a soft line drive, and that will end the threat in the 8th inning. Curtis Granderson with a 2-run homer. It's 6-2 as the Red Sox bat in the 9th. And at first base, Lance Berkman. And the Yankees install Brett Gardner in left field. And Jabba Chamberlain is on, making his 69th showing of the year. Last work Thursday, giving up a run and 2 hits in 2/3 of an inning against the Rays. Record is 3-4 with a 4.43 earned run average, and he has 68 strikeouts in 67 innings.
It's interesting. This is a form of a National League change by putting Moeller in the spot vacated by Mark Teixeira, by putting Berkman on at first base as a pinch hitter for the catcher Cervelli, and then you hit Moeller third, which would bring him up 9th in the 9th inning for the Yankees. So it's a very interesting move and a good move by Joe Girardi.
Jed Lowry hits one to the opposite field that will go to the wall, and Brett Gardner retrieves, and Lowry is in with the leadoff double here in the 9th inning. And time for a DirecTV game break. Here is in the 9th inning. Texas Rangers now lead it 4-3. Jorge Cantu with a home run. His first as a Ranger off of Michael Wirtz, and Texas leads 4-3. And right now the Texas Rangers are 2 outs away from clinching the American League West. The magic number was 2, and a victory today would wrap it up. And here is Ryan Kalish. And the pitch is outside. Yamaiko Navarro is running for Jed Lowry at second base. Nobody out, and the count 1-0 to Kalish, who is 1 for 2 with a single, is also reached by virtue of a walk and a hit batsman. Pitch is down low, and it's 2-0. Two balls and no strikes. 6-2. The Red Sox lead, and a line drive into the right field corner. It'll be a base hit, and Navarro will score. The Red Sox now lead it 7-2, and on at second with an RBI double is Ryan Kalish. Meanwhile, the Texas Rangers trying to wrap up the American League West, leading 4-3 in the bottom of the ninth inning at Oakland. Minnesota Twins have already clinched the AL Central. And if the Rangers wrap it up, the only battle that's left will be in the AL East. And the wild card, and the ball off the hand of Jabba Chamberlain. And they're going to send the runner Kalish back to second. Nobody was covering first base. And Jabba Chamberlain was looking to throw over there. Terry Francona out to the mound.
Well, he stepped off and threw the ball on the ground, but was time called when he stepped off. I don't understand why Ryan Kalish has to go back to second base.
And I don't understand, with no base runner or fielder at first base, why.
Right, throwing to an unoccupied base.
Why Jabba Chamberlain was going there in the first place.
Maybe time was called. I guess that's the only sensible thing.
Yes.
I mean, and he stepped off. But why was time called? Maybe the Eric Patterson, the hitter, called timeout. A lot of times he'll give that as a word sign to the home plate umpire.
Patterson up for the first time, takes the pitch outside, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Red Sox adding a run here in the ninth, leading 7-2. Trying to make it 2 in a row over the Yankees. Setting up a possibility for the Rays with a win tonight to open up a 1.5 lead in the AL East. And there's a foul ball cued down the left field line, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, the more you think about that play with Jabba Chamberlain stepping off, it had to be timeout. Timeout that Chamberlain didn't know anything about, but you're right. I mean, throwing to an unoccupied base, even though he had stepped off.
No base runner and no first baseman.
No.
So Patterson.
That's a fast base runner who could get to second without you knowing it.
And Patterson swings and misses and strikes out. Let's see if we can hear someone call time. But I don't know if they called it in time for an umpire to signal timeout.
Right, right. Or was it the umpire that called it?
Many unanswered questions that we're witnessing here in what is becoming kind of a strange final few innings of this game.
Yeah.
1 out, and Lars Anderson takes ball 1. And going back to second is Kalish. Anderson 1 for 4, and this is 23rd birthday. Facing Jabba Chamberlain, the 6th Yankee pitcher of the game. Two and 0. Marco Scudero, who has a single and a double and a run batted in, would be next for the Red Sox, who have 12 hits on the day. A call strike to Anderson. It's 2-1. Kalish doubled home the pinch runner Navarro after Lowry had doubled to start the 9th inning. And Anderson swings and misses. And it's 2-2 and takes a long circle walk around Moeller and home plate umpire Guccione. Hideki Okajima in the bullpen. Right now we're going to take you to Oakland. We're going to have bonus coverage of the Rangers and A's. So here they are, Josh Lewin and Tom Green. And our congratulations to the Texas Rangers for capturing the AL West, eliminating the Oakland A's with the 4-3 win. And so we have Minnesota and Texas in the playoffs. And this is the last pitch to Marco Scutaro. Fastball up in the zone. So there are 2 down, and Josh Reddick up for the first time in the game. Red Sox have runners at first and second with 2 out, 1 run in, and a 7-2 lead here in the top of the 9th inning. And there's a call strike. Meanwhile, the San Diego Padres defeated the Cincinnati Reds 4-3. Chris Denorfia with a walk-off double off of Aroldis Chapman, and so San Diego trailing the Giants by a half a game win today. And the Cincinnati Reds, after the Cardinals had lost to the Cubs, the magic number 2 cannot reduce the magic number. And here it is, Chris Denorfia with the double off of Aroldis Chapman. Chase Headley scores, and the San Diego Padres win it 4-3 in a battle between 2 hopefuls. A big win for San Diego. The Giants play at Colorado later, and so the excitement continues down the stretch of this season in so many races, Tim.
So they're tied with the Giants now, and they're a half a game in front of Atlanta in the wild card race.
Yes. And the Atlanta Braves won at Washington, and Philadelphia plays the Mets at home tonight.
Right.
So here is the NL West, as you pointed out. A tie between the Giants and the Padres, with the Giants playing in Colorado. There's a call strike to Reddick. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 out, 2 on. And the Red Sox leading the Yankees 7-2. Job at Chamberlain. And the Phillies have taken an early 2-0 lead over the Mets there in the top of the 2nd inning in Philadelphia.
Phillies trying to win their 12th in a row.
And really moved away from everyone establishing the best record in the National League and home field advantage. In fact, right now they have the best record in all of Major League Baseball.
That's right.
2-2 the count to Reddick, who went in as a defensive replacement for J.D. Drew in right field. And a foul off. Scheduled hitters for the Yankees in the bottom of the 9th will be Alex Rodriguez, Robinson Cano, and Marcus Thames, the designated hitter. Hideki Okajima, who has come on a bit lately for the Red Sox after a disappointing first half of the season, plus injuries affecting him. Slap to the left side. Rodriguez throws to first, and that'll do it. Red Sox get a run, take a 7-2 lead into the bottom of the 9th inning. Shortstop for the Red Sox, and Hideki Okajima is on, the 3rd pitcher for Boston. So Okajima making his 53rd appearance and facing Alex Rodriguez, who is 1 for 4 against Okajima. As the Yankees trail by 5 runs, and the first pitch is taken for ball 1. Rodriguez is 0 for 2 and has walked once today. Okajima's career earned run average against the Yankees in 28 appearances is 4.97. There's a strike, 1-1. Robinson Cano is on deck.
Okajima with that unorthodox delivery. Is not a hard thrower. Rarely breaks 90. Mariano Rivera up to get loose just in case the Yankees score 5 at least.
2 balls and a strike. And Okajima, as you see, Cano getting ready, activated off the disabled list with a hamstring problem, missed 20 games. 2 balls and a strike to Rodriguez. A-Rod hits a drive deep to left field. Patterson back, and it's gone. Home run for Alex Rodriguez, his 28th of the year. And his 3rd in the last 2 games. So it's a 7-3 game now. Second home run of the game by the Yankees, who hit 6 last night.
Yeah, so that's 8 home runs over a 2-game period where they've lost 2 in a row, are in the process of losing 2 in a row. Unless they can score 4 more here in the 9th inning, they will lose their 2nd straight to the Red Sox.
And here's Robinson Cano, who is hitting .357 against Okajima, including 2 home runs. 0 for 3 on the game, and takes a fastball for a strike. So we saw Mariano Rivera loosening up, and now Jonathan Papelbon gets up, and the Tampa Bay Rays, perhaps smelling blood in what's going on here, taking a quick 4-0 lead over the Mariners. And a check swing line drive back to Okajima for out number 1. Well, Fox tonight, street fights, car theft, and basic bad behavior. It all means cops have got their hands full. An all-new part of a full hour. Then a courageous young woman bravely fights her way to freedom, but her attackers are still on the run. Help find them on an all-new America's Most Wanted. It all starts tonight at 8, 7 Central on Fox. So 1 out, bases clear, and Marcus Thames, 0 for 3 on the day, takes a call strike. Producer of today's game, Pete Macheska. The director is Bill Webb. We want to thank our technical and production crew. The associate director is Aaron Stoikov, and the broadcast associate is Eric Mandia. Statisticians are Chris Visser and Alex Olson. 0-1 pitch, 1-1. Our technical producer, Sid Drexler. And our technical director is Jonathan Evans. Pre-game show produced by Don Bowie. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. And the executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin, Eric Shanks, and David Hill. 1-1 to Thames. Pop-up into short center field and called for, and Navarro makes the catch for out number 2. So the Yankees down to their last out, trailing by 4 runs. And Brett Gardner coming up for the second time.
Interesting, in that Tampa Bay game, Evan Longoria is not in the game. He has a strained left quadricep. So he is scheduled to miss 3 or 4 games for the Rays. So Tampa Bay with their own problems of getting their stars ready for postseason.
Very often it's a battle of attrition down the stretch.
Yeah, right.
Here's Gardner, takes a strike. He reached on an error last inning and came around on Curtis Granderson's 2-run homer. But the Yankees are 1 out away from suffering their 4th straight home loss, the most this year. Ball strike 2 by Okajima. Here's the 0-2. And a ball and 2 strikes to Brett Gardner. Yankees in danger of falling a game and a half behind the Rays with 7 to play in the AL East. Okajima's 1-2 pitch rides inside, and 2-2 to Gardner. Here's Granderson, hoping he has a shot.
Joe Girardi telling us early about the fact that the Yankees beat the Red Sox. That's like 2 games on their schedule, because the magic number doesn't fall to 2, falls to 1.
But it still is going to be 3.
That's right.
As Anderson makes the final out, and the Red Sox still mathematically alive in the race. The magic number is still 3, and John Lester wins his 19th game of the year, goes to 19-8, and the final score here at Yankee Stadium: the Red Sox 7 and the Yankees 3. And let's update the standings. And right now the Yankees are a game behind the Rays, who are leading in their game against Seattle, and the Red Sox 5.5 behind the Yankees in the wild card with 7 to play. And we'll return to New York for more post-game coverage right after these messages.